we meet up with a group of New Zealanders who are working closely together to convert dairy factory waste into valuable, high-quality animal feed, as well as potentially other products. They're currently in the prototype stage. We meet them in Christchurch. So we're here in the filter room, but this is really further down the line what happens in this room. I want you to take me back, right back to the beginning. What happens in this process?
When we start off, DAF is a very liquid form in this one, and the whole point to make it an end product, we've got to get rid of the water. So we have to go through each individual step to reduce it in stages. So we can get a first stage where we can split out some fat, which is problematic to us. We can split out a little bit of water then. We can come in this stage, we can get rid of a lot more water. We then can take it to a final stage and dry into a product that ends up grainy like this.
And Nick, you've got actually a test tube and a bottle to show me what it looks like. Can you take me through this?
Absolutely. This is the primary product that we received from the dairy factories. And as you can see, there's a layer of fat at the top. And it's important in the first part of the process that we standardise the product. We're intending to sell it as a feed product for animals afterwards, and we got the message loud and clear from the feed manufacturers they need a standardised product. The product we get is quite variable, and the variable component in that is the fat. The fat itself is a valuable product, and it hasn't been seen before in the feed market. So there are various applications for the fat, right from feed through to industrial applications. The protein, we are wanting to concentrate and dry for the animal feed product. The water we remove during the process, but what we're very mindful of is that we don't create a waste product out of essentially a byproduct or waste product. So we have to ensure that the water that we take off is free from solids and free from as many minerals as possible.
And that's wonderful for our waterways, isn't it?
When you look at this product, it's product that isn't being utilised further. It's coming off the land, it's been grown, it's been harvested, and we're now going to put it to another use. Rather than using it like a fertiliser or something at low grade, we now can put it back in the system so it's more efficient.
We're so close to commercialising that you have to give it that final push.
How much are we talking about? Are we talking about a rugby field, many rugby fields per annum?
Your typical dairy processing factory in New Zealand will yield us about 4.5 tonne of dry product per day.
That's dried?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's a huge amount of water that's being cleaned up as well?
It certainly is, but I must say that the dairy factories are making a huge effort for a start to both minimise their waste and to deliver us a quality product.
And that's a huge marketing idea, isn't it, that will really, I've talked about this earlier, this will really appeal to consumers.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure from consumers for primary industries to be as clean as possible, and we believe this is a great help.
What has driven this passion in you? Is it the environmental cleanup that you're doing? Is it obviously the profit will be in the mix?
Well, I think you need to have a business that's profitable, but I think you get driven more with a green business. So if you can stand up and be very proud of what you're doing, and you are contributing to cleaning up the environment as well as earning a healthy profit, then it's easy to wake up and come to work and work hard at it.
So let's look at BPA. What difference do you think it's made?
There's technical differences of having people on board that's helped us with knowledge, but context has been phenomenal. The level of people they know and they can introduce you to, there's a lot of surrounding things that you don't initially think you're going to get.
Give me an example.
Well, we've found people that they've introduced us to where they've said, oh, we've got this company that we're dealing with that has a problem, and suddenly you've got a phone call from them, you've got a lead, you've got a contact. Some of these are commercial that we can't really discuss, but they're areas we wouldn't have got in the front door at first.
And Nick, I'd like a little bit of feedback from you about BPA and how you see it has impacted.
I think initially when we started dealing with the BPA and we were producing dry DAF at a lab scale, it gave us some credibility to be able to talk to the dairy companies and also to be able to talk to some of the large manufacturers. Some of the large feed manufacturers had already had experience with Callaghan, BPA and Ag Research, and they were aware of the work that Callaghan had already done on processing DAF, and particularly working on separation. So that was a great help to us.
So it opened doors, effectively.
Absolutely opened doors. And then after that, I think with the collaboration between Callaghan and Ag Research, we were able to draw on such a broad experience and in varying areas as well, right from scientists to engineers to lab technicians, which could help us analyse our material.
And of course, the danger for a small business is that it can run out of funds in that crucial period when you're trying to get the necessary information.
That's one of the key things, is that it sped up things that we needed to validate. If we had taken our time, we may be slower to market. In the industry we're in, slow to market could be the end of us. We need to go faster. And it's the evaluation, it's the back and forward of critical thinking of our ideas of, is it actually going to work? Let's check it's going to work, let's run it up. Those things have been a lot quicker.
Speed to market is critical to the investors and the 3E Nutrition Board, who need to see results from their commitment and vision. So Chris and Owen, we're here in the product storage room, which is where we see the end product of what was essentially a lovely dream, but hadn't really been realised in the world yet. This is cutting edge, isn't it, Owen?
I certainly believe so. We don't know of anything else in the rest of the world just quite like this.
And what made you, first of all, very excited about the idea?
I think it was the opportunity to work with an innovative startup company that's really shared some of the kind of goals that we had in the organisation as well, to not only try and create value for New Zealand, but also reduce the environmental impact of some of the operations that go on in New Zealand.
Everybody's known it has good nutrient potential, but the problem was simply there was no way of forming it up into a solid product, so it could be handled in a way that was more traditional. So if you can only handle it as a sludge, you can't send it very far. It's very heavy, and there's not many outlets for it. So it does end up, frankly, I would say, being a problem, because some of the ways of disposing of it were less than encouraging. So it's for us, it's really exciting to be able to come along and say, hey, we think we've got something that can really help you. And there's enough interest internationally now for us to say it's worth going forward, let's keep going, let's accelerate the process and take it fully commercial.
And Chris, if we talk about impact, what do you think the impact of BPA has been on the business as far as your perspective?
We at 3EN are a group of non-technical people who've come up with an idea and gradually brought it through. And that input has been fantastic, and the ability for them to actually do testing for us that would be prohibitively expensive for a small private New Zealand company. I have other businesses, and I know that I understand perhaps more fully than many the cost of all that testing to get the sort of information that the international market really wants. And that BPA has been fantastic for us for that. Being able to test that and prove up all these processes and have the BPA behind us to do the test and give us actual results, the sort of results that customers look at it and they say, these guys are for real, that's absolutely been a huge boon for us.
And it's so powerful when you take that idea of a small company bringing a number of streams of agri-research together through this whole project, isn't it?
That's been the fascinating thing for me, because I've come across scientists before and they usually are very closed, and it's almost like squeezing blood out of a stone to get them to talk, whereas what's happened in this situation, I've been sort of almost dumbfounded by how open and sharing the whole lot have been, and equally that they're not competing in a bad way against each other, the scientists coming from the different aspects that the BPA's brought together. It's incredibly, well, actually it's quite fun to watch, because it's fruitful. Everybody grows out of it.
It's a beautiful idea, isn't it? Cooperation instead of competition. I mean, Owen, you said at the beginning, you were already working on an idea, but instead of you competing, the two of you, you just said, let's amplify the effect of us, let's combine.
Yeah, well, both the BPA and Callaghan's role is to try and accelerate technology transfer and innovation, take-up of innovation in New Zealand, and having found that there was a company already willing to be working on this technology, it was it was the perfect outcome for us.
The next level is taking it to full production scale, which could not happen without the cooperation among all the parties involved. This is a model of cooperation among a number of different branches, science and business, rather than competition.
It is. It was definitely necessary for the start that we had Paul's assistance, because we had absolutely no idea how to commercially implement separation. We'd done everything at lab scale, but we needed to draw on Paul's experience from his commercial activities to allow us to go to the commercial step.
Has it been exciting for you as part of ag research, being able to link in with the Callaghan Institute and with this particular industry and BPA? Has it been good to have those new links?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I feel like we're all one big team now. To me, it doesn't feel like 3E Ag Research Callaghan. It feels like we're the DAF team. And when you go to like the BPA conferences, I mean, it builds even further because you interact with industry more, and it's really strong.
I bet, Nick, that having that sort of assistance early on gave you and Carl tremendous confidence in yourselves, in your idea. Would that be right?
Yes, that's right. We had a lot of assistance from GTEC, who are a Christchurch-based manufacturer who manufactured both the decanter and the separator we used. And they managed to work really closely with Paul and combine both of their experience to achieve the perfect outcome for us.